on News Channel 8.
Tonight, tracking the tropics, a powerful hurricane slams into Mexico's Gulf Coast.
Plus, cat cruelty arrests. Community support and a big reward help track down an accused animal abuser.
And deal or no deal, a tentative settlement is reached over a contaminated neighborhood, but not everyone is convinced it's a good idea.
Live from the News Center in high definition, this is News Channel 8 on your side at 5.
Good evening, I'm Natalie Shepard.
And I'm Josh Thomas. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Hillsborough County deputies say they've arrested the man responsible for Lovey the Cat's kitty penitentiary. 19-year-old Giovanni Estrada faces 2 felony counts of animal cruelty for shooting the cat with a BB gun and tossing it into the bay. News Channel 8's Adrian Peterson spoke with authorities who say they've never seen more community support for a case. Both the Humane Society and county officials say they've never seen such a strong community outpouring for an animal. You can now report animal cruelty to a 24-hour hotline at 813-744-5550. We'll repeat that number for you after weather. A man who deputies say is a known gang member is under arrest, accused of shooting a friend who is also a member of a rival gang. Julio Cesar Rodriguez is charged with first-degree murder for the shooting death of Nolson Carriega. Carriega's body was found on Soccer Drive near the Town and Country Schimberg soccer fields on April 12th. Deputies didn't give a motive for the shooting. Orange County deputies say a 7-year-old boy got a hold of a Lakeland police officer's service gun and accidentally shot his brother. They say the gun belonged to their football coach, who is also an undercover detective. The shooting happened when he left the boys alone in a car outside a home on Cayley Street in Orlando yesterday afternoon. When Orange County deputies arrived, they found a 10-year-old shot in the hand. He was treated at a local hospital. The officer has not been charged, but an investigation into the case is underway. A Gainesville church's canceled Quran burning could cost them a lot of money. Police say the stunt cost them $200,000 for extra security, and now they want the Dove Outreach Center to pick up the tab. The city manager is looking into whether they can legally force the church to pay. Pastor Terry Jones made headlines and sparked worldwide outrage with his plans to burn Qurans last Saturday. And even though he canceled his plans, the police department still increased security as a precaution. He coached the Bucks, then the Colts. Now Tony Dungy is busy tackling new challenges.
I enjoyed all 28 of those years, had fun, but look forward to doing other things.
Coming up next, the former coach sits down with News Channel 8's Rod Carter to talk about his life, his career, and this weekend's big Manning Brothers matchup. Then a swan search. One Bay Area neighborhood wants to know who took the birds and why. That's coming up at 5:30. There's a big battle of family bragging rights coming up on Sunday Night Football. New York Giants' Eli Manning is facing off against his brother Peyton from the Indianapolis Colts. Today, former Bucks and Colts head coach Tony Dungy sat down with News Channel 8's Rod Carter to talk about the big game coming up this weekend and his life post-football. And you can watch Manning Bowl 2 Sunday night right here on News Channel 8. And you can watch all of Rod's interview with Tony Dungy on our website, tbo.com. Just type in keywords Tony Dungy. I think you can feel it, though. I think it's been a little bit nicer.
The mornings have been great.
All right. Thanks, Steve.
Yep. Well, some parents may think their children spend too much time online.
But it turns out that all that time spent on the computer isn't necessarily a bad thing. We'll have the results of a new study up next. In an 8 on Your Side medical report, an update on flu shots. Medical experts are urging all women who are pregnant to get their flu shots this year. This year's shot provides protection against the H1N1 virus, as well as 2 strains of seasonal flu. The vaccine also protects the new baby until he or she is old enough to get a flu shot at 6 months old. Experts say the flu shot has not been shown to harm the mom or the child and is safe for women in any trimester, as well as women who are breastfeeding. Doctors do recommend expectant moms get the flu shot rather than the nasal mist.
Now on News Channel 8.
More people pounding the pavement looking for work. Tonight, we break down the new unemployment numbers and look at what may have caused them to climb once again.
And saying goodbye to a beloved teacher. One local school remembers a talented man who made an impact on children's lives for a decade.
Live from the News Center in high definition, this is News Channel 8 on your side at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Natalie Shepard.
And I'm Josh Thomas. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
The latest report on Florida's unemployment rate shows another jump in the number of people out of work. The August unemployment rate hit 11.7% for the state of Florida, up 0.2 of a point from July. Here's how it breaks down in our part of the state. Take a look at the screen and find your county. Hernando County has the highest unemployment rate at 15%, and it also saw the biggest jump, 0.5% since July. Hillsborough saw the smallest jump, up just 0.1 of a point. Now, even though the statewide unemployment number increased, Florida also added jobs for August for the second month in a row. More than 1 million Floridians remain unemployed, but as Mike Veselinda tells us, there are some bright spots. Counties with seasonal tourism or large government institutions such as prisons have the lowest unemployment rates, while those counties that rely on agriculture have the highest. One 4-footed Sarasota deputy had a tough night on the job last night. His human coworkers say a man tried to drown him as he tried to avoid arrest. Deputies eventually got their hands on Jason Reagan, but it took a search that investigators say lasted 2.5 hours. They say Reagan jumped in a lake and hid in the brush, and when they sent K-9 deputy Zulu in after him, they say Reagan punched the dog in the head and held him underwater. In return, the dog bit Reagan in the leg and wrist. Eventually, deputies hit Reagan with a taser. He faces several charges, including a battery on a law enforcement officer. A downtown parking lot is going from gray to green as part of an exhibit bringing art to parking spots. This is Tampa's 4th time participating in the worldwide annual Parking Day event. The exhibit aims to bring greener spaces to city dwellers. This is the parking lot at Twiggs and North Franklin Streets. The free event ends at 7 tonight.
Well, is someone swiping swans from a Bay Area neighborhood?
Bird-loving residents say they used to have 4, and now they only have 2. Coming up, why they fear 2 of their beloved black swans may have been taken from this peaceful lake. Pinellas County Sheriff's deputies are asking for the public's help in nabbing some possible swan nappers. Over the past week, 2 swans have mysteriously disappeared from the Sherwood Forest RV Park in Palm Harbor. News Channel 8's Chip Osowski spoke with one of the park's residents.
Well, seeing the great historic landmarks of Europe is on a lot of bucket lists.
That's true, and the Colosseum in Rome is one of those incredible sights, but you've probably never seen it set ablaze. Coming up, we'll explain why part of Rome was burning. An iPad excitement has arrived in China. Crowds of people lined up in the rain in Beijing to get their hands on the first iPad sold in China. Some had stood in line since Tuesday. The iPad cost 20% more in China than in the U.S., but no one seemed to mind. And someone must have been fiddling with matches because a Roman landmark burned last night. Fortunately, this was just a virtual fire. 2 artists created the illusion of a massive fire inside the nearly 2 millennium-old structure. Their goal was to draw attention to the fragile state of Europe's cultural heritage. And most parakeet owners teach their pets to say something like, "Polly want a cracker," but not the owners of this bird. Colombian police locked up this bird as evidence following a drug cartel raid. When the bird started talking, it said, "Run, run, you are going to get caught." Investigators think the bad guys were using the bird as a lookout.
Go figure.
Do what you can, I guess.
Yeah.
Filling the shelves at Bay Area food pantries isn't an easy task.
Now on News Channel 8.
A high school feud involving members of the Plant High School football team gets very serious when a parent with a gun gets involved. Plus,
they're going to put him under the jail by the time he gets through if he don't straighten up.
She's talking about the man who sold her a water filter. Our 8 on Your Side investigation found another person who says Jonathan Yaketa ripped her off as well.
And a week after his Quran burning controversy, a Gainesville pastor talks about moving his church, and guess where he may wind up.
Live from the News Center in high definition, this is News Channel 8 on Your Side at 6.
Good evening, I'm Natalie Shepard.
And I'm Josh Thomas. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Jonathan Yaketa, the target of an 8 on Your Side investigation and who is now in jail on charges of exploiting the elderly, may soon be in more trouble. Largo police have an open investigation involving a 4th suspected victim, a retired nurse who has complained about Yaketa's sales practices in the past. Because the nurse's new complaint is an open case, police won't talk about it, but we will. Investigative reporter Mark Douglas tells us what this unhappy customer has to say. Yaketa's public defender was supposed to ask a judge to reduce his $20,000 bond today. She withdrew the request without explanation. The Gainesville pastor who started the Quran burning controversy may be heading south to the Bay Area. Terry Jones says he wants a fresh start, and the Tampa-St. Petersburg area tops his possible relocation list. His church is facing a big bill for last weekend's canceled Quran burning. Police say security for the non-event cost them $200,000. The city manager is looking into whether they can force the Dove World Outreach Center to pay the bill. On Saturday, September 11th, extra police officers were on duty near Jones's church, as well as other so-called soft targets like the University of Florida's football stadium and the local mall. Pastor Terry Jones planned to burn holy books. His plan, rather, sparked protests around the world. Tallahassee has reached a tentative legal settlement with Lockheed Martin. The Southern Manatee community has spent the last 8 years fighting for accountability and assistance after learning a toxic groundwater plume sits beneath many of the homes. The contamination stems from an old plant purchased by Lockheed. The terms of the deal remain confidential, but some folks say they're not happy with the offer. Some residents who spoke to us off camera say they expect to receive only a couple of $1,000s. Lockheed says regardless of what happens, the company plans to honor its promises to improve Tallahassee. An attorney representing the Tallahassee community says he expects a decision on a finalized agreement in the next couple of weeks. Now to Zoom in 2010 in the first U.S. Senate debate of the general election. In Miami today, Univision hosted a debate between the leading contenders in the Senate race. It seems the Democratic candidate Kendrick Meek and the Republican candidate Marco Rubio have one thing in common: attacking no-party candidate Charlie Crist. Crist says he changed parties so he won't have to answer to the big bosses in Washington. And investigators believe they know who shot a cat full of BBs and launched it into the bay. Up next, how authorities were able to track down the man who is now facing several cruelty charges and what happens to the huge reward in the case. And there are 2 things missing from a Pinellas County pond. Coming up, details behind a black swan mystery. Hillsborough County says they've got the man who shot Lovey the cat with a BB gun and dumped the cat into the bay. 19-year-old Giovanni Estrada faces 2 charges of animal cruelty. The 19-year-old is the cat owner's boyfriend. He was arrested yesterday and released from jail this morning on $4,000 bail. The cat owner, Mildred Crack, hasn't been charged yet, and authorities say she might be a victim of abuse as well. The $11,000 reward has not been sorted out. Perry says this is the largest reward in more than 60 years from private donors. A woman who works at the vet adopted Lovey. Your weekend forecast is coming up next. Plus, here's a look at what Hurricane Carl is doing to Mexico. Storm Team 8 Chief Meteorologist Steve Jervy shows us where the 3 named storms in the tropics are heading. High school teams across the Bay Area are getting ready to face off this Friday for Football Friday.
Up next, the story of a running back who proves you don't have to be the biggest guy on the field to make a big impact. In sports tonight, first Manatee County, then Pinellas and Polk County, and this week's Football Friday Game of the Week takes us to Pasco County.
And that's where the Mitchell Mustangs will take on the Clearwater Central Catholic Marauders. And that's also where we find News Channel 8's Anthony Allred tonight. And finally tonight, Steve's here with one more check on the forecast to get us into the weekend.
It's going to be nice this evening. Some areas actually have a little bit lower humidity. I just wanted to show this beach view at St. Pete Beach because it's so pretty. It's 92 degrees out there, but the sunset will be gorgeous. And this weekend, we're looking at highs probably low 90s, or rain chances 10 to 20%. Not that big a deal. And, of course, we're looking forward to the first day of fall. And you know how that is. Refreshing. Jackets come out.
Yeah. When you're up north anyway.
A little dip in the air.
Yeah. 92 degrees that day. Whatever. Yeah.
All right, thanks for joining us tonight.